The other thing is, as I say, the aggregates are something that is always a little bit of a risk there. And so the as the things scale up, the aggregates are becoming more, in my opinion, more relevant. And finally, um, the impurity in itself and the fact that you need, there is an expectation from the authority that you are now able to characterize impurity to a very, very low level and to understand the nature of this impurity, because there is always the risk of um, immunogenic impurity, especially when you're talking about something that is going to go in so many people for such a long time, and that is not a risk, a life, a death, a drug that is used to cure something, but is more of a product that improve your life expectancy. You don't want to introduce any of this risk, like immunogenic response to the drug. And this is done by identifying in advance the immunogenic potentially of all the impurity you may have. And this doesn't allow you to have unknown impurity in your product at an even very, very low level. So this impose a very constant and reproducible impurity profile where you understand exactly which impurity you are looking at. So in this situation, the low-level impurity are becoming more and more critical to control. The one at 1%, if you have one, I don't think you have many people who has a 1% purity, they're not critical because you know exactly what they are. But the one at 0.05%, 0.1%, they need to be always reproducibly represented in your product. So this is one of the new challenge with GLP-1, specifically because of the way these drugs are used and the reason why you use them. Okay.
When you're doing HPLC with traditional HPLC workflows, do you think they're sufficient for the demand of the future, or do we need to move into more next generation analytical platforms?
I think that one of the things that is becoming more and more challenging is with what I describe about understanding your impurity and quantify this impurity is becoming progressively more and more difficult to develop one methods that resolve individually all the impurity. Because there could be hundreds and hundreds of impurity. So I think one thing that is probably in the future will be, and so to to analyze all of this impurity, very often you need different modifier in your analytical system. And some of these modifier, they're not MS compatible. So one other thing that I think is coming is a more routine use of what is called 2D LCMS, where you have a first or a first direction of your analytical that allow you to separate very well the impurity, but maybe not individually separate the impurity. And the second dimension of the LC is used now to separate one peak in the two component. And so you can now quantify different impurity under that one peak of impurity. And if you add the MS at the end, you also have the ability to not only see that there are two peaks, but only confirm the identity of these two peaks that you are detecting. So I think the 2D LC MS is one of the things that in the future will be a more powerful tool to simplify, in one sense, the method development required to analyze GLP-1 product.
And what role do you see LCMS playing in release testing?
Personally, I never believe that So there are two reasons why you could use LCMS. One is to identify all the impurity, and the second
Mhm,
one is to identify co-eluting impurity with the product.
mhm.
Personally, I do not believe that LCMS to identify co-eluting impurity is the right way to go into release product, although LCMS allow you to do to to prove that you have only one product under the peak when we're talking
Mm,
about product with this different mass intensity. So I think LCMS is very good tool while you're developing the method, but is very difficult tool to apply to the release of material. So I
mm.
think you need to invest a lot in LCMS during method development, not as much as in the release. On the other hand, if you want to have the certitude that you have all the impurity are exactly what you expect them to be, because you can have a situation where you have a peak at a certain retention time that you think is a certain impurity, and then you have a new impurity that elutes there and you did not expect it. So LCMS as a way to characterize the identity of the small impurity in your process could be a very powerful tool.
Leo, earlier you mentioned NIR spectrophotometry, and I'm curious if you can elaborate a little bit on how that improves the efficiency of process verification and analytics.
Actually, we use mainly in our where we have, not so continuous process, and we need a kind of, for instance, calculate the concentration before we load the columns to have a better efficiency and also extend the lifetime of the resins. For instance, we use a lot of this method where we call at line because it's not yet completely in line. We don't have real data. We still need to take samples, but the decision is very fast in our process. Yeah, this is one of the technologies that we have implemented lately, I would say the last 5 years in a lot of our products. So is one of the gains that we get, that we reduce a lot the lead time for release process, for instance, afterwards, and that we reduce the sampling as we discussed before, and also the load in our QC labs, because mainly we do that in our production lines.